Today on Explain with Sean, we're going to be repairing my friend's broken iPhone 6s. To do this, we're going to need a Vivid Fix screen from fixeasy.com as well as a water adhesive. We're also going to need a heat gun and or hair dryer, as well as a Penelope screw bit, a Phillips screw bit, and an iFixit tool, as well as tweezers. We're going to go ahead and start by removing the two Penelope screws at the bottom of the iPhone. We're going to go ahead and turn off our iPhone before opening it. After that, we're going to go ahead and heat up the bottom left corner with our heat gun until it's warm to the touch. After that, we're going to go ahead and insert our iFixit pry tool, not too far, but just far enough to cut through the adhesive that's holding on the screen. Go ahead and take the iFixit pry tool and run it down the sides of the iPhone to loosen the adhesive there as well. In this case, the adhesive was very strong and also cold, so I'm going to go ahead and take my heat gun and heat back up the adhesive so it's easier to remove. When you're doing this, be careful not to insert the pry tool into the phone too far because that could damage the phone. After that, we're going to go ahead and carefully lift up on the screen, making sure that all the clips are undone. Next, we're going to remove the two screws covering the battery bracket. These are Phillips. After that, we're going to go ahead and unplug the battery. This is very important because if you don't, when removing the screen connectors, you could short out the motherboard. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the 4 screws covering the metal bracket for the screen connectors. After that, we're going to go ahead and plug all the connectors for the display and front-facing camera. After that, we'll go ahead and lift the screen off the top of the phone. You can see that water adhesive hanging out there. After that, we're going to go ahead and remove all the adhesive from the phone, using our iFixit pry tool and carefully scraping it off from the mid-frame. There are multiple ways to do this, but this is the way I find easiest. After that, we're going to go ahead and remove the 2 screws that are Phillips on the bottom home button bracket. And there's one more holding on the display bracket. For that, we're going to go ahead and unplug the home button and pull up on the left circuit board portion. After that, we're going to go ahead and get our new display, and we're going to push the home button from the front so it comes out through the back. Be very careful when doing this, because if you break your home button, you will lose Touch ID functionality. Next, we're going to go ahead and set our home button in our new display and align the little holes with the plastic pegs on the display. We're going to go ahead and plug in the home button and put back on its bracket and 3 screws. After that's done, we're going to go ahead and take out all the screws covering the front-facing camera and earpiece speaker bracket, and we're going to go ahead and remove that from the phone, as well as the earpiece speaker, and then the front-facing camera. Be careful when removing the front-facing camera that you don't rip any of the proximity and or ambient light sensors that are in the front of the phone. Make sure to carefully pry them up with your tweezers from their little plastic housings. After that, we're going to go ahead and remove the adhesive elastic protector strip and stick down our proximity sensor, and then our light sensors, and then put in our earpiece speaker, and then we're going to seat our camera in place. After that, we're going to put back on the middle bracket and its 3 screws. After that, we're going to go ahead and test out our screen to make sure everything works before we seal everything up. We'll remove the plastic film from the back of the screen. This screen comes with a metal black plate pre-installed on it since it is the VividFix version. After we've plugged in all the connectors and seated them firmly, we plug back in the battery, and now we're going to go ahead and test the screen to make sure everything is working before we install it for good. After that, we're going to go ahead and clean off the phone one more time before we seat that new water adhesive down. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our water gasket, and we're going to go ahead and seat it carefully. The square rectangular hole lines up with the camera in the top right corner. We're going to go ahead and carefully seat it around the edges, making sure the gasket is actually on the edge of the phone. After that, we're going to firmly press the gasket down into the aluminum frame of the phone. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and take a knife and run it between the gasket and the plastic. If you get a nice gasket, this isn't a problem and it's not a step that you have to do. But these cheap gaskets don't want to come off with the plastic. So when you pull the plastic off, the gasket comes too. So the knife trick makes use of these cheap gaskets. Next, we're going to plug in the 3 cables into the motherboard for the screen. After that, we're going to get the screen bracket and put it on top, and then add back in the 4 Phillips screws. Next, we're going to go ahead and plug in the battery and put its bracket back, as well as its 2 Phillips screws. For that, we're going to tuck the top of the screen into the top of the phone once we figured out that it still turns back on again. And we're going to go ahead and close it up. Make sure to press going from the top to the bottom and not just at the bottom, because if you press at the bottom, it may cause your brand new screen to shatter. After that's done, we're going to go ahead and test the phone, and it turns out my friend has screen time and that it locked me out of the camera app, so I can't actually test the cameras. And we're going to go ahead and test what we can with screen time present, which is not much. And that concludes this video. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe, it really helps me out.